Warning: the contents of this podcast series often include sensitive subject matter and themes that might not be suitable for all viewers. Potentially triggering issues are discussed, and viewer discretion is advised.
If you or someone you care about are dealing with issues that impact their mental, emotional health, sexual health, or physical safety, please check out the resources linked in the bio or reach out to us directly. We are here to assist you toward emergency care and experts. Prioritize your well-being and sense of safety.
Hello, and welcome back to Shattered Foundations, Reconstructed Self, a podcast where we interview members of the deconstruction community to hear their stories and share them with the world. Here, we dive deeper into the process of deconstructing religion and then reconstructing yourself, who you are, what you believe, and how you are moving forward in rebuilding your personal foundation. I am your host, Tahir Dixon, joined today by my extremely hardworking co-host, Garnet. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there, but I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to hear Crystal's story. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Today's episode is sure to be a fun one. Our guest is endlessly witty and wise, and she is the backbone of the Deconstruction Junction community. She's a source of inspiration and friendship to many, and I personally call her the sassiest nice lady you'll ever meet because she is so kind but takes zero shit from anyone. We are beyond excited to welcome the host of Decon Q&A with Crystal Jae, Crystal Jae herself. How are you this evening, Crystal?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Glad to have you, both of you. Thank you
Yay,
for
Thanks
being
for
here.
having me.
welcome.
Yeah, of course.
Before we chat with Crystal, I want to make sure that I take time to thank each and every one of you for listening to our show. Your support is greatly appreciated. Please be sure to like, share, and comment on today's episode. The more engagement we get, the more people we reach, and that's our goal, to share our community stories and to get them into the hands of those who need to hear them. Be sure you're subscribed to the channel and don't forget to click that notifications bell so you are always up to date on the latest episode of Shattered Foundations Reconstructed Self. We release new episodes weekly. So with that said, Crystal, take us to the start of your journey. What are your earliest memories of your experience with religion?
When I was 3, I went to live with my aunt and uncle. My mother abandoned all of her children. There was 8 of us, and my father would be arrested for harming a child. We'll just put it that way. And when I went to live with my aunt and uncle, my aunt and uncle were both devout Christians, and they baptized me at 3 years old in the Methodist church.
Wow. You were so little.
Mm.
I really was. I found a little picture of me. I should post this in the Discord. And I remember, this is such a sad thing to remember. I remember as I was growing up, and I would look back at that little picture of me, and I would think, how could anybody leave a little girl that is that cute?
Yeah.
Like, look how
Yeah.
cute she was, you know?
I know. Because that's what I'm picturing. I mean, I'm thinking little hands and feet and, pigtails. Like, I can't wrap my brain around being able to walk away
Me
from your
neither. child.
I really can't.
Me neither. I never came to terms with what she did. I eventually met her, but I never came to terms with what she did.
Yeah, as a good mom, how can you?
Right?
So your family baptized you when they were little, and you said this was what religion? Or like what
Methodist.
branch? Okay.
I was Methodist.
And what little bit I know of that particular flavor, as we say, of Christianity is what little bit I've learned from you. But I know you said they're pretty boring, right?
They are the
I,
most boring, the most dry, the most like I don't even think they put mayo in their potato salad. That's how
no.
bone dry
I,
and boring they are. Yes.
I always picture like Pentecostal to be the most like flamboyant, if you will, exciting, wild Christianity. Okay.
Yeah.
And if they
Mhm.
are the schmores of Christianity,
Mhm.
Methodists are a plain graham cracker.
Right.
Yes.
Not just the plain graham cracker. That's
Yes.
it. But yeah.
Exactly.
That's
And
hilarious.
so you grow up in this religion or in this church. What is your memory of when you were kind of conscious of the fact that you were really engaging with the religion itself, being aware of what being a Christian means?
Oh, I think that happened very early on because I had abandonment issues and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want my new mommy to get rid of me, and I certainly did not want the God to get rid of me. So, very early on, I dedicated my whole life to this entity in order to be the best Christian ever.
Yeah.
I wasn't, but that was what I was saying.
You tried.
But the pressure
It
was
was something
really
I tried.
on.
The pressure was real. Yes, it was.
Yeah, the pressure was on.
Yes.
So then, as you start aging, what does that look like in terms of your involvement with like the religion itself?
Well, when I joined the youth group, wow, there's so much to unpack with this religion. Like I
I
think of things
know.
and it triggers other thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back a teeny bit. So I live with my aunt and uncle, and so does one of my sisters. So the two of
Okay.
us live with this aunt and uncle, and then my other brothers and sisters live with other aunts and uncles. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm 11, she is hit by a drunk driver and killed.
Mm,
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
mm, wow.
And so shortly thereafter, I would start getting involved in the church youth group.
Mm.
And because of that, I decide I need to be very involved in the youth group. And as I get involved in the youth group, I go to ashram.
Mm-hmm.
The founder of the Methodist Church, John Wesley, had found out that people from other religions, I'm not versed in it, but
Yeah.
and I don't want to misquote which religion or what have you,
Well,
but
okay, we'll say disclaimer, this may not be fully accurate to the actual
right.
teachings of this body of people, but
Mhm.
the
But
way
I
what
think
you were
it's
taught.
Hinduism, I believe, or it's monks in general, or something like that. Okay,
Okay.
they go
Mhm,
on
mhm,
these religious retreats where they will go up on a mountain or what have you, and they will do nothing but either meditate or worship, okay,
Okay.
for their
mhm,
entire retreat. Many of them fast the entire time or whatever. And John Wesley was like, we should do that. We
Mm-hmm.
should have retreats where people do nothing but worship Yahweh. And so, of course, the Methodist Church then appropriated the ashrams from
Right.
another religion.
Right.
Is that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
what I was thinking.
start
I'm like,
going.
what's a little more appropriation?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
right. So I would go to the ashram. It's nothing different than any other church camp, I assure you. And I would meet other churches and stuff. And I found out there was a little Methodist church not very far from me, from my actual house. So I started getting more involved in that. That did not make my mom so happy. It's really weird how people are very
Yeah.
attached to things in religion in and of itself. Like
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
still going to a church. I'm going to a Methodist church, even.
Right.
I just find a one that
Mhm,
has a more active youth group and one that's closer to our house. So I don't know why you're mad at
mhm,
me, but
Yeah.
it did like upset her a bit. But I would get so involved with the youth group that I would spend at least 5 days a week either going to youth group, a Bible
Wow.
study, a small group church, whatever it was. I
Yeah.
was there
mhm,
at least 5 days a week.
Wow. So you
mhm.
really were
Wow.
all in. That's no
Committed.
Yes.
joke.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was very committed.
And how old were you at this
So
time?
This would be during my middle school and high school years.
Okay. Sorry, Garnet, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, during that time, it was very Bible focused, right? Or was it more listening to the preacher? Was it Bible study where you were like in the Word, opening the book, reading the passages for yourself, or was it kind of listen to the person speaking kind of deal?
It's Bible study, but it would definitely be listening to the Bible study teacher. And that would
Okay.
be a man who was very, very well versed in apologetics. But I didn't know what
Oh.
Mm,
apologetics were. I didn't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
mhm, mhm.
Not yet,
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't. And even when I found out about apologetics, I didn't really understand what apologetics was. I thought
Right.
they were
Yeah.
proving God was real. I didn't realize they were apologizing. Really, that's what they're
Yeah.
doing.
Finding
For
ways
the
to excuse
incoherence.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
incoherency, the contradictions. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that we talked a lot about in the last episode, in Omni's episode, is like the apologetics, even whether you are conscious of the fact that that's what's happening or not, that's what you're engaging in, is the apologetics. And those are the things that keep you in. And that's what they're designed to do, is to not make sense of it to anyone else, but to make sense of it to those already in it so they stay in it. And I honestly hate the fact that they had somebody who had that, like you said, was well versed in apologetics, be the one that's doing Bible study with the kids. It's like you don't even have to take
Oh,
a
yeah.
course in apologetics in order to be well versed in it now, because that's who's teaching your children.
Yeah.
But okay, so you said middle school, you're all in. And then what about as you transitioned into high school?
In high school, I would say that I was backslidden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's funny now because what I hear Christians say now when we talk to them is like they will act like when they would backslide that they actually lose faith in God. And I don't think I ever lost faith in God. I just wasn't being as ritualistic with myself. I wasn't making myself do every stinking thing like I was,
Yeah.
because I was in high school. I
Mhm.
wanted to party. I wanted to date. I wanted to, do everything everybody else was doing.
Right,
And
exactly.
so I still believed in God 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't eat.
Mm.
And I had nights where that was very confusing to me. I felt like I was the worst human being on earth.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we talked previously about the pressure that you had on you to do everything right because of those fears in the back of your mind. So, I mean, whether you realize it or not, that was probably weighing on you in terms of that guilt you were feeling.
Yeah, so this sounds like burnout. So you're going 100%. You've got the weight of your entire soul on your shoulders because you don't want to be abandoned by this God. And that's a deep, deep, early childhood wound that you're working through. So by the time you get to high school, it's like you're already kind of burnt out on it, even though you still want to believe, you still want to be tied to the doctrine in some kind of way. Did
Mm-hmm.
your burnout ever look like you not reading the Bible at all, or what did that burnout look like for you? Or was it just that you just didn't go to church or you didn't go the 5 extra
I
days a
still went
week
to
kind of thing?
church. I still went to youth group quite a bit, but I was doing things that, like, partying, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
But yeah, I mean,
And there
still
was a
though.
lot of conflict with that because there was a part of me that was already, like I've said before, I feel that there was this part of me deconstructing all along. But because
Mhm.
of my abandonment issues, I would just live in that cognitive dissonance and
Okay.
pretend I didn't have the questions I had and stuff.
Mm.
So there was a part of me that did not
Mhm.
understand why things that I was doing was unpleasing to this God when I found them to be so harmless.
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
Mhm.
So I couldn't understand. So there definitely was cognitive dissonance because I was like, how could he damn me to hell for a little 420 on a Friday night after
Right.
finals week?
Mm-hmm.
Taking a
Mhm.
bong rip
Mhm.
or playing some quarters, or
Yeah.
whatever. Other people can be the most horrific people in the world. And not only does he reward them here on earth, all they have to do is go, oops, sorry, on their deathbed. And then he's going to go,
Right.
okay.
You're right.
And so,
Mhm.
so it was just
Straight to
so much
heaven.
Right.
shame and guilt for what I was doing and not wanting to be abandoned by this God, not being rejected by this God, but at the same time, me going, I don't really get this. This doesn't like compute.
Did you ever bring those concerns to like your aunt or your friends or anyone in the church, or was it just kind of they floated around in your head and then that was about it?
I might cry during this episode. Okay, I did not really talk much to my mom, the aunt that raised me, after my sister died because I learned very quickly that,
That she wasn't a safe place, or
yeah, she wasn't safe.
Yeah, not somebody to come to. That's hard.
She resented that it was Linda who died.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, Crystal.
I think a lot of people in my family did.
Aw.
She would have been just like me, by the way. So it's
Aw. Yeah.
because we were real sisters, so we
Yeah.
were very much alike.
Yeah, man. But what you've got heaped on your plate, yeah, we've talked about it before. Like when you have trauma in your life, then yeah, you are definitely a good candidate for the religion to, put its claws in you because you need an escape, because you need something to believe in, and then in your case, the abandonment trauma led to you really diving all the way into the religion for that reason. And it's just so unfortunate that people who are vulnerable, people who are going through things, are the ones that get taken advantage of. It's so awful, and then to be a kid and have
Yeah.
all of that heaped on your plate, like I can't imagine. I really can't. And then losing a sibling on top of it, I have personally said, like, that is my worst fear. Like I've lost in my life, I've lost friends, grandparents, I'm scared to lose my parents, of course, but to me, my worst fear is losing a sibling because I'm the oldest. So if all goes well, I should be the first one to go. And I am terrified of the idea of losing one of my siblings before I go because, like I said, I'm the oldest. I helped raise them. Those are my babies. Going through that as a kid, that breaks my heart. I feel so awful for you.
And it was like, in my eyes, my last sibling because
Mm.
I didn't have the other ones anymore already.
Right. I could see that. But I was going to say, one of the things that I find kind of curious is when we're talking about apologetics and what have you, for some people, like in my case, that cognitive dissonance of why is what I'm doing so bad when it's so harmless? In my case, it was, being bisexual. I was just kind of like, well, let me adjust my idea of what my particular God that I, follow. Let me tweak a little bit what that is so that what I'm doing is fine. My God wouldn't be mad at me for that. That was kind of my cope or my apologetic. But in your case, this cognitive dissonance you had, it was more of a I'm gonna ignore it, was kind of the way, like you said, I just pushed it down kind of thing. And it is interesting how we do all have different ways that we are acknowledging this cognitive dissonance. I just thought that
Yeah,
was
I
interesting.
think that as a teenager and feeling like I was backsliding at the time, it was just for me a constant yo yo of me doing something that God would consider a sin, whether it be, drinking, whatever we're doing, when you're a teenager, and then going and praying and beating myself up about it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then doing it again. So, when does it start breaking down for you, this tension between always having to jump through the hoops of asking for forgiveness and trying and trying and trying, and then quote unquote failing, like in parameters of the religion? When does it start to just not make sense to you?
What first happens is, as a teenager, I was groomed. I'm not going to get really into that story, but I was groomed by some men. I would end up in a relationship with one of them for 5 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
Ouch.
he left me for a young girl because
Right.
that's what groomers do.
As a
And
predator
then
does.
that,
Yeah.
really, it really messed me up. It really
Yeah.
messed me
Yeah.
up. And it would take decades for me to even understand that I was groomed
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
not that that was just a normal relationship. It took decades for
Right.
me to understand that. Every person who knew about the situation knew it was wrong.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Every single adult, and there were adults that knew, every
Wow.
single adult that knew about that situation knew it was wrong and they didn't stop it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
No.
So after, that relationship would end, I would marry my practice husband. That's what I call my first husband,
I like
because you
that.
practice the first time, figure out what you're doing wrong, and then the second time you get it right. Anyway, so with my practice husband, I end up in an abusive relationship that does not end well. It ends in him trying to kill me.
Wow.
And then it ends up in a horrible situation. I leave him, get out of that, and eventually meet Doug. And once Doug and I are together and I am pregnant with our first child, we're not married yet, but I realize now I really want to devote my life to Christ. I'm a mother. I've had all this horrible relationships. It certainly must be because I was not being a good and proper Christian.
Oh no.
So what
So,
flavor did you go for when you decided to rededicate did you go back to Methodist, or did you find something a bit more colorful, or what did that look like for you?
well, first we went non-denominational because I found this
Okay.
quaint little non-denominational church that met at the high school on Sunday. And isn't that adorable?
No.
And
No, it's not.
and then I would realize that there's a thing called a building fund that a lot of churches have but never use. I guess, did you guys
Right.
know that? Yeah. So I'm asking, like, when are we getting a building? And I don't think they're liking that I'm asking this question. At one point, he says, in church, if anybody would like to see the books at any time, you can ask to see the books. So I said, I'd like to see the books. They didn't like that. They didn't
Of
like that I
course.
asked that question. We met at a pizza place. I don't even remember if we saw the full books, but I remembered that day thinking this whole church thing, this church is a scam. It's all about money. I don't like this. I don't want to go here anymore. So my friends had also gone to that church for a while, and they were going to a different church in town. And we hit them up and we found out that they were going to a church called the Friends Church. Well, that sounded friendly. So I thought, let's go there. And then I would go to find out that Friends churches mean Quaker. So we became Quaker.
Okay, but do you know
Wow.
why they call it a friend's church? I mean, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought Quaker either.
If I'm not mistaken, it has something to do with like they don't call the people in the church members their friends or something like that.
Okay.
It's like, yeah,
It feels like an evangelizing tool to me. It
it
feels
probably
like,
is.
oh yeah, I'm going to a meeting with my friends. Do you want to come with me? Like, oh, and we just
Yeah.
all happen to be talking about the Bible. Like, that's what I feel like that is.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. So you become a Quaker.
Yes.
Did you like that church?
I did like that church at first for a very long time. I became
Okay.
very close with the pastor, his wife, their children, the in-laws, so much so that we would have Thanksgiving dinner like at the church, but it would not be the whole church there. It would be the pastor's family and us and our kids.
Oh wow.
We were kind of like adopted into
Y'all
their
were
little
close.
family. Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend, every Thanksgiving, I would have open house at my house. Anybody was invited. You could come anytime. You could come by anytime during the 4-day weekend. On Thursday, we did Thanksgiving. On Friday, leftovers. Saturday, turkey enchiladas. And on Sunday, I made these little wonton stuff with turkey and onions and celery and curry and stuff. And so their families, the pastor's family, would be in and out all weekend at my house every Thanksgiving. We were very close, very, very close.
Yeah.
But then eventually he wasn't going to be the pastor anymore, and the board of elders started changing around and things started happening, and the youth pastor left. And the more I was in the church, the more I realized that I believed everything. And these people did not believe everything. But they said they did, but whenever it was put to the test, they would fail the test. I did not fail those tests, I will tell you. But like one weekend, we were praying for a youth pastor. We had been putting out wanted ads. We had spread the news throughout. You know how churches have districts or whatever. So whatever it was called, I don't know if it's not a diocese for, Quakers. So it's like a district or something like that. We had it put out through the Friends organization. We had, local ads. We were letting everybody know we needed a youth pastor, a paid position, full time. And nobody was applying. And so at one point I said I would do it and they hired me part-time interim while they looked for a man. And that's not even required by Quakers, by the way. You don't have to be a man.
Really? Oh, I assumed it
Be-
was. That was just personal
no,
bias?
that was just their personal bias.
What?
Anyway, so I was like, that's fine. So they were like, let's hold a 24-hour fasting prayer visual at the vigil at the sanctuary. It was visual too; you could see it.
Right.
Anyway, so they held this prayer vigil, and after it was over, there was only one person who applied for the position, and he was qualified too, I might add. He was a man, and he was a young father, and and he was a Quaker, and
Shooing.
he was
You had
related
me
to the
at man.
pastor,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And then
That's all you
they
needed
didn't
was that
hire
very first
him.
one. They
Yeah,
didn't?
exactly. They didn't. And
Okay.
in that moment, I was just like, so y'all just fuck with God like that, huh? You ask him to do something, then he
Right.
fucking does that shit. And then you go, nah,
No
I just
thanks.
playing. And I was like, what is this?
Mm.
What is this? You
What
know
was
what I mean? Like,
the point? How long
I
was the
don't.
vigil? 24 hours?
24 hours of us all fasting and praying in that sanctuary, and to get
Wild.
one application and then to say, nope, that's not who we want. Who cares
Oh
what God wants?
my.
So that was like one of the first signs of like, I really don't think that they believe in God the way I do.
Mm.
So, but then
They're not as
I,
zealous as I am about God's
yeah,
word.
apparently,
This isn't
like,
the
I
place
don't
for
know what's
me.
going on here. So that first church was doing stuff with money, and this church doesn't listen to the answered prayer. I don't know. This is
Right.
weird. But while I was taking care of the youth, I was friends with a lady on outreach. Okay. Now, she had a brother who she didn't talk to anymore. But I was also friends with her brother and his wife.
Were they in the
And
church?
one,
The
not
brother?
really because of her. He
Oh, right,
wouldn't
right,
go
right,
really
right.
because of her.
Oh, okay.
But he used to be a part of the church and just stopped going because of her. I don't even really remember what their problem was, other than she was not a good person.
Right.
Anyway, I have the youth over, and her daughter is in my youth group, and they are playing on my back patio. It's Kansas. It is in the summertime. It is like 100 degrees outside. I've made everybody lemonade. I have the air conditioner running on the inside. So I tell the kids, like every mom does, in or out.
Yeah.
I don't care which one you pick, but until your parents pick you up, if you go outside, stay outside till your parents get here. I'll call you when they get here. If you go inside, stay inside till your parents get here. No more going in and out. And so the parents were late because why have respect for somebody who's doing something for your kids? And I started to
Right.
prepare dinner, and our dinner guests were her brother and his wife that night. And we were having shish kebabs, and we were fixing the shish kebabs up and everything. And then later, I would hear that this woman went and told everybody that her daughter told her that I locked the children out on the patio and made them watch as we ate dinner.
Yeah. That
In
makes
the heat,
sense.
mind you. In the
Yeah, in
heat.
the heat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was just, and it just got me like so upset because I'm like, this is a person sitting on our board of elders, and she's sitting here spreading gossip that makes me look like I abuse and neglect the children in the
Yeah.
church. And this is really horrible. And I'm going to the board of elders meeting, and I'm going to say something to them. So I went to the board of elders meeting, and I tell them, and they turned it all around on me, saying like, you should be forgiving her, which at this point she has not asked for my forgiveness. She has no intention to apologize for what she has said about
Right.
me. She is
Right.
the church gossip. Everybody knows it. She has spread gossip about everybody. And I even tell them that in the
Wow.
meeting. I'm like, I don't even know why you're defending her right now. You all have told me about the gossip she has spread
Yeah.
before. And
Wow.
the fact that you're defending her when now in a Quaker church,
It's
everything is
weird.
biblical.
Yeah.
And so your board of elders is literally based on the description of elders in Acts, I think it is.
So that's the
Where
irony being is like they're so hooked on the Bible, but like when quote unquote God answers the prayer of a youth pastor, it's nah.
Right.
Right. And so in it, it says the elders should remain blameless. And I point that out. I said, you're not supposed to gossip. It says, shall not be a gossip is in there too. An elder cannot be a gossip. And they said, wait, are you serious right now? And I said, what? And they said, you think that we should like adhere to this literally? And I said, yes.
Right.
And they said, well, if that's what you expect, all of us should step down. And I said, then I suggest you do.
Right. Yeah.
And eventually my husband and I left, but then Doug got really mad and he was at home and he was stirring and he said, I'm going back. And I was like, no, because it almost went to them hitting him actually while we were there.
Wow.
What?
And so I was afraid that he was going to get in a fist fight if he went back.
Right.
So he goes back and then he comes back home. And I said, what happened? What did you say? And he goes, well, I just got really mad that they were trying to say that you're not forgiving. I wanted them to know that you are the most forgiving person I've ever met in my life and that they had no right to say such a thing to you. And so I was like, aw.
Yeah, what a good
Girl.
husband.
Yeah. Oh, so I left the church at that point. I still am a believer at this point, but I'm like, I don't have a church anymore.
Right. Yeah, because these people claim to believe in the doctrine and are not following it. Yeah, more cognitive dissonance.
They're showing me more and more that they don't believe this book. And so I think a part of me is going, do I need a church?
Right.
I don't think I do.
Right.
So I left the church.
Okay.
I'm no church. I'm still a Christian at this point. A few more things would happen that would begin to just make me move further and further away from believing at all. One of them would be that my father would, for lack of a better term, have no NDE when he went 7 minutes, where they were trying to resuscitate him. He woke up and said there was nothing, there was no light, there was nobody. God forgot him. But that broke my heart because he really was a good man, really loved Jesus, really loved family. He wasn't a perfect man, but he worked hard and he tried hard and he did the best
He
he
should have
could
at
with
least
what he
seen
was given.
something.
You
He should have
Right?
at least seen the
And
pearly gates. Like at least been standing
right?
on the outside somewhere. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, I got you.
And for him to feel so depressed after that, he was so depressed. He was never really the same again because he felt that God had forgotten him.
Oh, that is so
Oh
sad.
my God, that's heart-wrenching. Especially when we're doing these live streams and we're listening to people that you can kind of tell when they're getting bummed out, if, when things starting to sink in and stuff like that. But having an NDE, like a near-death experience, and seeing it for yourself, like you're not just logically recomputing things and reconfiguring things in your head while you're awake. Like you went under, came back, and was like, everything that I thought was real was not at all present during this experience. Like that's a whole new level of letdown that I just
That's sad.
And it just broke my heart. It really did. I kept trying to convince him, like, no, God loves you. Like he was probably protecting you. I don't know. I don't know what I said, but I, of course, was trying to say all the things to make him still believe.
Wow.
And then my son would eventually go off to college, and I did not want him to go to Berkeley because I was convinced if he went to Berkeley, he would come back liberal atheist. And instead, he went to MIT, and I thought, at MIT, who's gonna freaking talk about religion there? You know what I'm saying? Like they're too busy being nerds. They don't have time for that. And so he went off to MIT and came home an atheist.
Oh, that backfired. That backfired.
Yeah. So he waits until we're in a room full of people. He's a very smart child. And I say something to him. I say something like, how is your walk going? Or have you found, I don't know, something very Christianese.
Right.
And he says to me, well, Mom, to be honest with you, I don't really believe anymore. And I just remember thinking, I cannot react because I'm in a room full of people.
Right.
And I don't know how I feel like reacting, but whatever reaction it is, it would probably ruin this whole evening. So do not react and don't do anything,
Don't be
So I
suspicious.
didn't really deal with it Don't be suspicious. Yeah. Um, but
Yeah.
later we would take a drive somewhere like a day or two, I don't know when. And I
Mhm.
remember driving to a parking lot, like in a shopping center not far from my house, and just crying and telling him, oh my God, like you're going to go to hell. And oh my God, I'll never see you again. Or oh my God, And then
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what about all the times that I told you I had a word from God for you?
Mhm.
Oh my God, you think I talked to an imaginary friend. And he was like,
Right.
Mom, it's not like that. And I'm like, no, it is like that. Oh my God. Oh my God, what you must think of me. Like, I just could not get over that he might think I'm Looney Tunes or something, And I'm
Right.
just like, what? Oh my gosh, what you must think of me. And he said, what I think is that you are a very smart woman
Mm.
and that those were your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you gave credit to this God
Mhm.
instead of taking credit yourself. That's
Mhm.
what I think.
Wow.
Aw.
Figured it out.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Aw.
That's awesome. I think
He's
like on a deeper
and
level, it's a really good reflection of because you were devout, like you were sold out. You were completely bought in. You had your golden ticket and you were doing everything you could to keep that golden ticket and keep it polished. Like you were going to heaven. Like that was you. But the way that you raised your child to be able to have that thought, I don't know, for me, like that says a lot because not very many people are able to hold to the kind of indoctrination that Christianity allows for. And you weren't creating like a totalitarian thing
Yeah.
where your son couldn't express his own thoughts to you, where
Oh
he couldn't
yeah.
express. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Like,
That's a good
right.
point.
It
where
was
he.
always important to me that my kids could talk to me. My mother told me when I was very young that I could tell her anything, and I would learn at a very young age that that was just a goddamn lie. That
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
tell her anything and there will be consequences, not there
yeah,
might be. And
yeah.
that there was never a softness to it. There was never anything that made forget once you told her I grew up, became an adult, started raising children of my own, found out I had a lump in my breast, did not call my mother.
Whoa.
I don't want to tell her these things, like she made
Yeah.
it so horrible. So for me and my children, I was like, you can literally tell me anything. Now, I am going to tell you something. I told them this since they were very young. I'm human. I'm going to have human emotions and I'm going to act like a human. And sometimes that might come out as anger or tears or frustration, but
Yeah.
give me a minute. Give me a chance to calm down. Let me get out of the moment of hearing whatever it is you tell me. And then there's nothing we can't work out. But
Yeah.
allow me to
Mm-hmm.
be human for a minute. Just
Right.
give me a minute
Mm-hmm.
to be human.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
And I think
I
that's
think I proved
powerful.
that to them.
Yeah.
Like you can't just say it. You have to then make those. These kids are going to tell you things if you say that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
and
Yep.
then you
that's
have to go. Okay, am I going to make this safe for them to tell me anything?
Yeah. And I was going to say
Mm.
safe is actually emphasis on safe because if your kids
Yeah.
don't feel like they can come to you, then they're going to be out doing things behind your back, not getting the guidance from you or learning the things that they should learn because they're just out being a kid, being, reckless. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a good parenting practice to be a safe place for the kids to come to you with, questions and opening up about what they're doing in their life. It's just safer for them. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it starts when
Mhm.
they're little. Like sometimes my kids would come home from when they were in grade school and come home and tell me, I had this problem with Susie today. She was hitting me or whatever. And I learned very early on to say, do you want me to do anything about it? Or do you want to handle
Mhm.
this? Because right away,
Yeah.
parents always think that just because a child says something to them, they are
You gotta
supposed to
jump in.
have, yeah.
Mhm.
But a lot of times my kids were like, no, I don't want you to because I don't want everybody else to hate me too, or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we would
Yeah.
talk about other ways they could handle the situation without mom actually coming down to the school.
Uh,
I would sometimes tell them, like, if this happens again, mom has no choice.
right. Mom
But
stepping
Yeah.
in. Okay.
Because your safety is important too. And they saw that when they told me something that I regarded their feelings, that their feelings
Right.
mattered,
Right. Which is so
not
important.
just me.
Yeah, but
So you're at that moment where your son is letting you know where he stands. When you talked through kind of like your initial reactions, so the following days, weeks, months, what does that look like? Do you start to reconsider your own faith? Does it make you, well, if
Yes,
they're not finding meaning? Oh, okay.
absolutely. Now I'm putting all these pieces together.
mm-hmm.
I'm,
Okay.
oh my God, nobody believed the way I believed. My
Yeah.
father saw nothing. My son is one of the smartest people in the world that I've ever met. And he is telling me that there's not any evidence there. And I have had doubts my whole life about things
Hmm.
that just don't add up. And so I think that at first I went through denial about it. Then eventually I started going, what if I don't pray anymore? Because I was a
Whoa.
constant prayer, in constant prayer.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You
Uh-huh.
know what I'm talking about?
Prayer
Yeah.
I'm one of
warrior.
those where I'm talking to
You
God
put on your
constantly. The
armor?
voice in my head is just God,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like I would just constantly be talking to God, like, oh God, today I have to do this. Oh, the kids are
Mm-hmm.
out. Please watch over them. And I heard that Sally at church was sick, even though I don't go there anymore. I still love
Wow.
her. Watch out for Sally or whatever, and be
Yeah.
constantly talking to him.
Mm.
And I thought, well, what if I just stop talking to him? Because I've been taught that if you are a believer, you are highly favored. You are
Right.
blessed.
Mhm.
Blessings be
Mhm.
upon you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, what is going to
Mhm.
happen? What's going to change so significantly in my life if I just say, fuck you?
Right. I'm not talking to
So,
you. Yeah.
I'm
because I
sleeping
don't
in
think
this
you're there.
morning.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I start
okay.
with just
Quickly,
not talking to him.
right. Well, that's actually, I was going to say, because you mentioned before, you were worried about your son thinking that you talk to yourself. And I didn't realize then, now having a little bit more context, it's because you were kind of talking to God, which to then explain it to someone else who's now walking away, I could totally see it. But my thing is you spent all of this time basically really leaning into the relationship with God aspect, talking to God, as well as praying. Did you feel like God talked back to you? You know what I mean? It seems like it's a lot of you making that effort. Did you feel like you were getting it back as well from God? Or was it actually, like you were just about to say, the blessings? Is that how God talked to you? If you could explain
No, it
that a
was
little
just
bit.
my voice in my head. So, and just like my
Mhm.
son said,
Mhm.
like I took the answers I heard in my head to be that of God. But in
Mhm.
reality, it's just like my son said, no, I used the power that is given to us in our brain, not given, that our
Mm-hmm.
brain has.
Mhm.
Our brain
Mhm.
uses so much information. I believe women's intuition is a real thing because I
Oh,
believe we'll
yeah.
eventually find that it's something in our brain that is able to calculate certain things
Yeah.
that we see quicker than maybe most men do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was nothing more than that. I would pray about something. I would be looking for guidance about something. I would come up
Yeah.
with whatever it was. And then I would say, God has told me that you should give
Yeah.
me
Okay.
$20.
Okay. So that's what it looked like. You full on, you thought God was speaking to you through and through. Y'all were
Oh, yes.
conversating. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
100%. I believe God was talking to me.
wow. Okay. So
Mhm.
then you've got the cracks that have kind of been happening over time. Your son basically takes a sledgehammer to the whole thing. It starts falling apart. And then you said that you decide you're just going to stop praying, stop talking. Did this mean giving up church and the Bible and everything?
Oh, I
Or,
haven't been back to church since I had left that church.
right.
I moved to another
Wow.
state and still didn't go back to church. I was like,
Wow. You were
no,
done.
I'm not. Yeah, I was done with church unless somebody found me a real man of God. And so far, I hadn't seen that. I saw people who did not believe that their God answered their prayers. What
Right.
the fuck?
By
That
their
is
own
I
so
saw
choosing.
people who
wild.
did not believe. Yeah.
Mhm.
That is so wild
So,
because like I got all the time I see people ask you these questions. With the whole church hurt thing and what happened to you, and you normally with the whole church hurt thing, it's like usually our responses in the community is you were the first person that I've heard this from, where it was like, even if I was church hurt, like why are you using that as a slam? Like why is that a left hook for
Mhm.
you? Like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, gotcha,
yeah.
someone totally destroyed your life. But in your case, I feel like this is such a unique example of the quote unquote where the church hurt is like an Uno reverse, where it's like, yeah, I
Right.
was hurt that I was following the Bible to a T and could not find anyone else
Yeah.
that was holding themselves to this standard the way that I was.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate Uno reverse for me. That
Mhm.
is wild.
Yeah, the hurt,
That's
Yeah.
quote
wild.
unquote, is that you were too Christian. Yeah, that's definitely a unique thing.
And I'm
I
not
did
even
this
saying that
better than
I thought I was
anybody.
perfect. But
No. Mm-mm.
I expected, but also I wasn't on the board of elders. Now, was I? I wasn't because I didn't
Mhm.
find myself blameless. But, and
Mm.
also
Mhm.
I had told them, I don't think blameless means sinless either. I think that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I believe blameless meant that, let's say we found out that you did gossip,
Mhm.
lady. I was going
Big
to say her name, but I'm not going
responsibility.
to. Let's say I did catch you gossiping. Then you should repent to the person that you gossiped about, and
Mhm.
then you should
Mhm.
not do that again.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
blameless. Okay, to
Mhm.
be able to hold up your
Maybe.
head and say, yes,
Yeah.
I've made mistakes, but I rectify them when I do wrong.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I told them that, and they still said they couldn't live up to that. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
right.
Well,
How
I
much
was gonna
effort?
say she should also sacrifice like a goat or something. But if they couldn't even give the
Right.
Yes.
apology, I don't know how well they're gonna handle like the blood sacrifice part. But
Right.
okay, okay.
Mhm. So, oh, and I was wondering, no go on the church, but what about like Bible? Were you still doing that at that time?
I don't remember. I
Okay.
really don't remember. I probably still was praying and reading my Bible and reading books or looking things up or whatever.
Okay.
I didn't not believe. I just didn't understand why there were so many Christians who didn't really believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so time starts to go by. You said you were worried that things would go downhill because you wouldn't be blessed and highly favored. So how did that go for you?
And isn't it funny how blessed and highly favored could be
Mhm.
struggling to pay your bills? And
Right.
Yeah.
Part, honestly.
anyway,
Yeah.
what happened was nothing changed.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
still had to figure out how to pay bills. Doug had to go to work. I had to either get a part time job or become an eBay reseller. I had to do things. I still had to do stuff.
Mm.
The only thing that changed was before I would pray and then I would go do the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now I would just go do the stuff.
Mhm.
And then when you do the stuff, you don't give the glory to God, right? You take the glory for yourself.
I don't know that I even thought about the glory. I just was like, okay, that bill got paid. What's next on the checklist? And
Right.
I don't think that I
Did you
thought
notice
about, am I giving credit to anybody for this?
Okay. Okay.
Did you notice like a difference in the amount of stuff that could get done? Were things like notably harder, notably easier, or no
No,
difference?
what I found was there was no change. There was no change. Life
Mm-hmm.
hit you the same.
Mhm.
Things happen the same.
Yep.
People die and people go on with their lives the day after somebody dies as if somebody didn't
Mhm.
just die.
Yeah.
Like I just noticed that
Mhm.
things didn't change. And I don't think that there was a day that I woke up one day and said, today I'm actually an atheist. I don't think that
Okay.
ever
Mhm.
actually happened. I just
Mhm.
realized that I no longer believed in this God. And then specifically, if not this God, actually for the same reasons I don't believe in any God.
Okay.
Mhm.
So do you remember, because we talked about how you kind of got to this point, but how did you get from I still believe, I'm just not praying, and like you're starting to wind down your participation? How did that transition into I just don't believe?
The transition was me just not talking to him.
Okay.
Doing that made me go like nothing changed.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Nothing got better, nothing got worse, nothing changed. And it made me think, I don't think he was doing all that. I think it was us.
Okay. I see what you mean. Okay. All right. So then you decide, I just don't believe. Do you feel relief, or how did you feel about coming to that realization?
I felt bad that I was going to have to go tell my other children who still were believers and my husband, because I had been the rock of everybody's spiritual journey
Right.
into this Christianity. And I'm going to come now and tell them. And I also didn't want people to blame my son because he was the first one to come out. Right? So I don't want them to go, oh, because he is, now you are. And some people did do that. And I didn't, because it wasn't just that. And I told him that too. I said, I don't want you to ever feel like you took that away from me or something. Like, I don't want you to ever have that feeling, because you didn't. Maybe you were a catalyst to something because you were brave enough to come and tell me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I do know is you are certainly not the only reason.
Right. Right.
You're just not.
Yeah, you came to basically the choice after your experience, even outside of that, essentially. Yeah.
I still, though, I still probably believe some of this book at this point in time, okay? Like, I don't realize at this point in time, because I haven't deconstructed the book yet, okay? I've only gone by deconstructing my relationship with the God. I have not realized that there's issues. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't believe Jesus rose from the dead at this point, okay? I don't believe that. I'm like, clearly he didn't do that, and he probably didn't walk on water, and he probably didn't make,
the
wine.
big claims.
Yeah, those ones I'm starting to go, yeah, that's probably not real.
Right.
Adam and Eve are probably not real. I think I'm going with science on that one. I think I'm going with science on Noah's Ark.
Exactly.
But certainly Jesus fulfilled
The
some of the
Messiah.
prophecies, and that's why we believed. That's why we
Yeah.
believed,
That was
right?
the whole thing anyways. Yeah.
Right. It wouldn't be till I would get on TikTok in like 2022 that I would start seeing Joyful and Skits and Bits and Deconstruction Zone Justin, start hearing them talk. And I was like, first I heard that Judas Iscariot got two different, stories about how he died. And I was like, that can't be true. What? And then I went and looked it up. I'm like, what? How did I not know that? And then I just felt like so dumb. Every time something came up like this, I just felt so freaking dumb. And I felt duped, and I felt angry, and I felt bitter, and I felt a million emotions. And then, so first I hear that one and I'm like, oh, that's crazy, right? And then let's see. So it went Judas Iscariot, and then I don't know, somebody pointed out a couple little contradictions here and there, whatever. But then one day, Justin says, well, Jesus didn't fulfill one messianic prophecy. And he's a goddamn liar. I know he's wrong now. Okay. I see how these atheists are, and so he had his cheat sheet, right? And so I got a hold of his cheat sheet and I started looking them all up, and I was like, oh my God.
He's right.
Yeah.
Who the hell did I marry? It was like, who the hell did I worship?
Right.
Who the hell did I worship?
No, that's exactly how it is, because you may know bits and pieces of the Bible, but you may not know all of the like ugliest parts of it. And then as you start deconstructing, you start hearing some of the for me personally, I'm just going to say I didn't know the slavery stuff was in the Bible. I had no idea. And so then as you start to hear about these atrocities and things that you didn't know, it is that moment of like, what the fuck, God? I didn't know that's the God that I was spending my life life worshiping, it really is like that.
Yeah. Joel asked me one day, Crystal, what did you do with the slavery parts in the Bible? And I have to be real honest. I don't remember a lot of these parts. I really thought I had read the whole Bible. But now that I'm watching how Christians act, I don't know if I didn't just lie just like they do, just because
Right.
I really don't. Maybe I lied to myself. Maybe I lied to everybody, but I don't remember these parts. However, whenever there was an issue like that in the Bible, I turned to apologetics because I
Exactly.
thought apologetics meant that you were a Bible scholar. That's what I thought it meant. So I thought I was turning to the people more educated than I was on the subject. So I'm sure that they explained it away in one way or another to me.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't have specific memory of it at all. Or a lot of parts of the Bible. I go, how did I not know about this? I don't remember Ezekiel bread, okay? How would I forget that?
Yeah. There's something about that with cults, that memory loss thing, or like that selective memory. That's the thing. And it's not just cults.
Coping mechanism, you think?
It might be a coping mechanism, especially to sort of help block out that cognitive dissonance part a bit, because you can't sit with conscious recognition of all the dissonance all of the time. So I think the brain just kind of shoves some things aside, and there's literally just gaps.
Yeah.
Because it's so
and
incoherent.
I can see that. And I just want to be honest with myself and others too, and saying that maybe I hadn't read the whole Bible, but said I did for all that time, because I will hear Christians say, well, I've studied all the other major religions. And then you ask them one question and you can tell immediately that's not true. And I thought I used to say that too. I would go read one paper on like Buddhism, and then I would go, I've studied the other world religions.
Yeah.
All of the world's religion, and Christianity
And that's
is the
how I
only
know
one.
Christianity did. Yes. Maybe I said, I read the whole Bible cover to cover many times when all I did was listen to the preacher on Sunday mornings and do Bible study.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned deconstructing. You finding all of the deconstruction creators, you start learning things that you didn't know before. And then you mentioned the cheat sheet. Is that how you got in the Discord? Is like you joined for the cheat sheet, or did we start doing that after the fact?
No, before that, he would just get I can't remember how we got the cheat sheet before. But anyway, then he just one day tells me, you're an admin of the Discord. And I'm like, what? I don't know anything about Discord. That is so funny.
Just out of the blue.
But just out of the blue one day. It was really small. It was the very beginning. So I'm like, okay. And then it was really cool because it was like a few channels in there at the time. So it was Justin and me and Joyful and Skits, and it was cool.
Yeah. And so you and Benny were friends, obviously. Like, did you meet through the deconstruction community, or how did you and Benny meet?
We met in the chat rooms, in the chats. That's how I met everybody, really. That's how I met Joyful. And then Joyful made me a mod. And then after I modded for a little while, that's when he asked me to be his co-host. And then Benny met me in the chats and stuff. And then one day told me, you're the admin with me of the Discord.
Okay.
I love how you keep finding yourself in these leadership positions. Like people just keep turning to you for stuff.
That is true.
That's cool.
Yeah. Like you have, a leader and all of that stuff. And it must be a part of your personality because you're good at it. You're like, you got that managerial stuff down, So it's like, it happens to a good person. Some people suck in management positions, but yeah, you kick ass. So I don't know, something about you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you meet everybody, you start co-hosting with Joyful. When did you start doing the atheist Bible study? Was that from the beginning?
Oh, yeah. So shortly after I started co-hosting for Joyful, I started realizing I now want to learn the Bible. Like, I want to know things like Justin and Thinker and Christina Carroll know and stuff like that. I want to know it more You guys,
in
I
depth.
embarrassingly did not know things like about the Epic of Gilgamesh. I didn't even,
Right.
if you asked me what the Epic of Gilgamesh was, I would have asked you if it was a children's book or something. I would not
Same.
know what the hell it
Yeah.
was.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
And through this community, like I learned things like that and stuff. And I was like, now I need to go read that. So I would go read it or
Mhm.
whatever. And I didn't know about Nat Turner until this community. And I was like, what? Who was Nat Turner? Why was he important? You know? So I went and read and watched a documentary about him. There
Share
was
with the
so much I
class. Who is
realized.
that?
Nat Turner was a slave that did a big rebellion that
Mhm.
ended up making it so that they made a slave Bible after his rebellion. It's like I don't
Oh,
do
okay.
any disservice by minimizing anything of this story. I'll send you a link.
Hi, editor's note here. Just wanted to pop in and let you know that the link to the video that Crystal was talking about is in the description below. Hopefully, you will check it out.
So, you know, I'm just learning all this stuff, and I think I want to learn the Bible. What if I do a non believer's Bible study? And I asked around, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm totally interested. And so we just started meeting on Wednesdays. And I've had Biblical Scholarship, is a biblical scholar that is on TikTok quite a bit, often in panels and stuff. He would come by a lot of times, help us out with things. Rabbi Hana, that rebel rabbi, Bert would come by. Rav, I don't remember what his full name is now because I've
Rav
always called him
Kavod.
Bert. Yes, will come by, and he's a real rabbi and a scholar. And it's just really nice because I found a lot of people who don't believe. We just want to know the truth now. We want to
Yeah.
know, what did it say? Who was it written to? Why did they write it? What does some of the things that they say in there, what is the significance? You know, what's the historical background to it? Where are these people really from? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're going through it.
Yeah, take an educational approach to this culture
Yeah.
that was, appropriated, almost kind of like give a little bit of respect to it, actually look into what was snatched up. So,
And we share our feelings, you know. We're not shy to say, are you freaking kidding me? What is this? You know, or we talk about things, and just like I love to ask, like whenever he's there, it's great. I love when he makes it. I love when Rebel Rabbi makes it too. They just have two different approaches, and Bert will tell us stories, and he thinks he goes on too long, but I love them because
yeah.
you know, you're sitting here listening to a rabbi talk about his people, his tribe, and their history, and it's amazing to hear from him.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Rebel Rabbi, she has a different way of teaching this. And one of the things that I really like about hers, obviously, teaches me so much about the feminine side
Yeah.
of her God, really. And she shows me how her God is pro LGBTQIA. And, you know, and she just teaches me that the scripture supports these things too when you read the actual Hebrew, or it doesn't say enough about certain things that we have made huge decisions on or
Yeah,
whatever.
drawn the
And
conclusion. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like
Mhm.
it's amazing when they come by. I love it.
But it is especially fun when they're able to come into the atheist Bible study because as non-believers, we, like you said, they may think they're given too much information or going on too long, but it's like we're sponges. We soak it up,
Yeah.
It helps us make sense of this book that informs the doctrine that was shoved down your throats or, what have you. So yeah, I think it's super cool to take an educational approach to it for sure.
Yeah, I really like it.
How much time was it between when you decided that you didn't believe anymore and when you found the deconstruction community?
It would be years. It would be
Years.
like maybe 4 or 5 years.
Okay. And in this time, you were just kind of just over it?
I had sunk into depression and nihilism
Oh,
because
yeah.
during that time, my best friend died. And it was the first person to die since I had come to the terms with the fact that there was no heaven.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
That's hard.
and then shortly after she died, during this whole like period, I'm losing a business that I regrettably started with family. I didn't want to start with
Mm.
family. It was a poor decision, and I'm losing it, and I'm sinking into depression, and my best friend dies, and then I'm diagnosed with stage 3 malignant melanoma,
Oh,
and now I might die, and there's no
yeah.
heaven
It's
there,
like, what does that mean?
and I'm just sinking into this depression. COVID hits. Doug loses his job because of COVID.
Oh, no.
We just have one thing, one blow after another. And I have no community. And now I have no God to pray to. And I'm feeling kind of lost. So
Yeah.
I start going on this little dance app because I'm trying to sell my wares because I was a reseller. And eventually I stumbled across the deconstruction community. Yeah. And then
Okay.
things just changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And so I've kind of said it before, but I kind of feel like you said Benny is the puppeteer. He's kind of
He's the puppet master.
Yeah, the puppet master, kind of, behind the scenes. But I feel like you're kind of the bodyguard for the Discord in a lot of ways. Like you defend the Discord and, like our people, you don't let people come in who have bad intentions. And I just feel like if you weren't a part of the Discord in the capacity that you are, I feel like our community would be vulnerable. I really, really feel that way. And, you're almost kind of like we'll call you a mama bear. We won't call you a bodyguard. You're the mama bear of the Discord. And,
And Joel talked about this and Meza said people always talk about her being like the mother, but I see her as the cousin or something. I don't know what he said. Joel said that I am the heart of the community.
Yes.
And I don't know, I'll take whatever. I'll be the bodyguard, the heart of the community, the cousin. I don't know.
Yeah. And you know what, too, to that point, like you being the heart of the deconstruction community, if you didn't have such a presence in the Discord and being the person that you are, there's also the question of retention, like that sounds shitty, but like people coming in and wanting to leave, not sticking around,
wanting to stay.
Yeah, but you have that like welcoming spirit and you hang out with everyone and you're in the conversations. And I know for me personally, when I think I've told you guys this before, but when I came into the Discord, it was during one of Joel's streams and I went to his channel and there was just 3 of you guys in there. It was Benny and Quill and you, Crystal, and me and you were chatting about being elevated and Quill was welcoming me and Benny was being silly and
I miss
it was
Quill.
like I miss Quill too. It's kind of like one of those situations where it's like you see him in the wild every now and again, he'll pop in. Yeah, but it's just like coming in and having you guys be my first experience, I think set the tone for my view of everything going forward, because like you said, then I felt instantly like, okay, this is a community. I think that there's people here that will be able to help me through this like deconstruction process. And that's exactly what it was. And it's like being greeted by you guys is, I don't know if I would be where I am, today, really, for that matter, had you guys not been the people that greeted me. And I don't really say it often, but like the reason that I love the community so much is because I know that it can change lives because it changed my life, like the deconstruction community is how I ended up leaving the faith. And it was a time in my life where, I had moved out to Florida. I hadn't really made any friends here. I work from home kind of thing. And, it's been kind of hard too since we moved out here. And so like I didn't have much of a community either. And so, yeah, I didn't realize how much I needed to have that community element until I became a part of the Discord, and it changed my life. I was much happier afterwards, so that's why I am such a believer in what our community can do, because I've experienced it like a lot of us have.
Well, that makes me really happy, and I feel the exact same way. Like it changed my life. I am so glad that we have the Discord and that we're just not beholden to TikTok, because I feel that no matter what happens here going forward with TikTok, lots of people are going to start going to other platforms And this way we still have a central hub where we
Yes.
find each other and know where everybody's at, where, who's going live, what's happening and stuff. And so I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, now's a good time. Will you, because in case there's anybody listening to this episode who is not familiar with the Discord, the Deconstruction Junction, do you want to do a little ad for us? And then we can link below how to join the Discord.
You guys need to join the Deconstruction Junction Discord server. It's a server for people who are deconstructing from harmful religions. They have deconstructed or they want to help others deconstruct. We are a variety of people. We have people who still hold to religious values and people who are atheists, agnostic, just every kind of flavor there is. But we are a safe place for people who are recovering from religious trauma. So there's like no preaching in there, no debating. It's just a safe place. And many of the creators that you watch on TikTok and YouTube have channels in our Discord where you can interact with them. So join today.
Absolutely. Like I said, link below. We are 4,000 strong at this point? Over 4,000?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
We're getting close to
amazing.
4,500, I think.
Wow. Yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
yeah.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it's a active community too. I mean, you see people active in the channels and chatting with each other, and we do events and stuff. So I know community is one of the things that keeps people in the religion, but it's nice to be able to say, well, we have that. You don't necessarily have to feel like you are losing a community or you don't have anybody to walk through this with you. There is. We're out there. Hi, Deconstruction
That's
Junction.
right.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that. Sounds like we're pretty caught up to where you are today. Would you say so?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and move into the portion of the episode where we focus more on the reconstruction after deconstructing the faith. So, at having walked on your deconstruction journey, at this point, what do you think you're most proud of?
My show, Decon Q&A with Crystal Jae. I actually am really proud of it.
Yay!
Yeah, you should be. It's awesome.
I
I'm
love
really
that.
proud. It's a
I love
little
it.
show. I'm a little channel, but actually, big people come on my show,
Yeah.
and it gives people a chance to ask them the questions that they want to ask about deconstructing or their doubts, or thank them, give them their flowers or whatever. And I really like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And my favorite thing about it is the opportunity to see the creators that we know and love in a different light, because not often do we get to
Yeah.
see a little bit more of a personal side to them, because mostly they come on their streams and they do what they do, and that's what it is. So yeah, it is there. You've had creators on the show, Joyful being one. Now we have more of a relationship with him. We've had him on the show,
Mhm.
but I was shocked. I expected Joyful to be, I don't know, I didn't think he was going to be so nice. And so it's like
Aw.
one of those like
I love Joyful.
yeah.
He really enjoyed it too. He even told me after the show that he really appreciated the opportunity because a lot of times he doesn't get to talk to the chat or to the people. And so
Yeah.
even the ones that didn't come up got to ask questions in the chat or on YouTube or whatever. And he got to interact with them more and talk to them more and feel a more intimate connection with the community. And I love that.
Yeah, your show is definitely special. And I mean, it may not need to be said, but I don't know. Do you want to do a little ad for the show? What is Decon Q&A?
I'm Crystal Jae, and I do the show Decon Q&A with Crystal Jae, where I talk to the creators in the deconstruction community, and you guys get to come up and ask the questions, and it's just a really good time to get to know them, and we have a lot of fun. We play everybody's favorite game, Divine or Decline. And
I love that
we have a
one.
very nice, relaxing 3 hours of just learning about deconstruction, the process, and getting to know each other. I actually, like, when I went out to Texas, my kids were like, oh, let's play your game.
Oh,
You
really?
guys want to play my game?
Mhm.
That's
Just
awesome.
in case we weren't explicit, I'll just say, so Divine or Decline, what you take 3 different books, isn't it? And then you make some
You want
up
me to
as well.
explain it?
Please.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
so in Divine or Decline, I will read out a phrase, and if it is from the Bible, and I use the New American Standard Bible because it's copyright free, then you will say it is divine. But if it is from the Quran, or if it is from the 1830 Book of Mormon, because that is also copyright free, then it is decline. Or I made it up, because sometimes I make it up. Only the Bible is divine, and there's no points. Everybody loses, and everybody loves to hate the game. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a great lesson in not taking yourself seriously, I would say, but it
It's
is
fun.
fun. It
It's a
is
lot
fun.
of fun.
yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
And it's a great lesson at realizing how easy it is to plagiarize the Bible and how
That's
easy it is to
true.
say things that sound very holy that mean
That's a good
nothing.
point.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good point because
Mm.
sometimes the ones you make up, I am so sure it's divine. And you're like, nope, I made that up. I'm like, what? Yeah, you're good at it. You're tricky for sure. Mhm.
That's fun. All right, Crystal. What internal changes have you observed?
Well, I'm learning to love myself.
Oh, good.
I think
Mm.
that's the biggest.
Yeah.
It's the hardest.
Mhm.
But one of the hardest things as a Christian was being told, whew, that I was worthless, that that little girl was worthless. And
Aw.
at the same time telling me that I am royalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The confusion that I felt inside, not understanding how I could be God's heir to his throne,
Mhm.
and at the same time being worthless to him. To
Yeah.
read stories like Job and see that God took away his whole family, just like he took away mine, and said,
Aw.
for me to make it up to you, I'm just going to give you a new family, just like he did to
Yeah.
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It
Right.
didn't fix it. It didn't fix it. And I
Mhm.
couldn't
Yeah.
understand these things. And it made me feel worthless. And at the same time, I'm not supposed to feel worthless because I am a chosen, blessed child of God.
Oh, yeah.
And
Mm.
leaving the religion, you hold on to the worthless
Mm.
for
'Cause
far too long.
it's drilled into your head. You're bad. I mean, we know.
You're nothing without Jesus. And now you don't
Mhm.
have Jesus.
Mhm.
So who are
Mm.
you?
Yeah.
And you have to find that person, and you have to find your own reason.
You're right.
Why am I here? What is that reason? Oh, I have to figure it out or come up with it myself. Like that's daunting because
Yeah.
before I thought I had some purpose in the end times. And I was
Mhm.
prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
you're telling me that I'm not going to be fighting demons up at the high school. So it's difficult falling in love with yourself, figuring yourself out, finding your
Mm.
purpose. And I feel like I am. I
Mm.
feel like I'm figuring it out.
Yes.
I'm helping people deconstruct from a harmful religion. I'm helping people find their purpose. I'm helping people realize that they were never worthless ever,
Yes. Mhm.
that they were never damned to
Wow.
hell, and that they were never deserving of the treatment that they received from this God through indoctrination.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
You are so right. That's one of the most important lessons that we can learn as we walk away. That opinion that I had of myself or that others had of me is null and void because it's all bullshit.
That's
So, yeah, that's beautiful. I'm so happy for you, Crystal.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's a road, it's a journey.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Mhm.
for sure.
I'm gonna be on this journey for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. Yeah. You're getting there. So, good for
Yeah,
you. I'm happy for you. So, what do you think it is that you still want to learn?
I want to learn Hebrew.
Okay.
I think that when you can read the actual Hebrew and not just go look it up, I think there's
Yeah.
a difference because understanding, like, are you both bilingual? Yeah, are
Yeah,
either
I
one of
speak
you
other
bilingual?
languages.
No.
That's what I thought. Do you, Tahir? No, I'm bilingual.
No.
You can understand that there are things that mean things in another language, but when you learn to
Mhm.
speak another language, you
Yes.
understand nuances
Yeah.
that you could
Mhm.
not fathom before you spoke the other language.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And that you can't always explain in a
Yeah.
different language. And so for me, I would really like to learn the ancient. I'd like to take Dr. Bowen's class at some point. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get to do that in the near future. That is
Yeah.
a goal.
For sure. I
Okay.
think
That's
that'd be super
awesome.
cool. Yeah. Oh,
Okay. Who or what inspires you?
My kids inspire me more than anything in the world,
aw.
more than anybody. I love my husband. He inspires me. And my granddaughter is very new in my life because she's just a little 15-month-old, but
Aw.
she's inspiring. But my kids they're brilliant and they're loving and they're kind and they're just good fucking people. And they're different. Not one of them is the same as the other. And they're just
Mm.
very inspiring people.
Aw.
I think that though that they've always inspired me and and I want to give them their kudos because like
Mhm.
truly it's about them having courage to say things to me. It's not easy
Yeah.
to tell your mom shit. And I just think they're all three amazing and they all have big, huge hearts and I love them.
Aw.
Mm. That's awesome.
Okay. What is your passion?
I think learning is my passion. I
Okay.
love to
Mhm.
learn
Mhm.
about
Yeah, same.
everything. And with
Mhm.
having ADHD, that can mean the 20 different things I try to go down rabbit holes a day on or something because you said something I hadn't heard before. So now I got to go look at that word. Oh, da, 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 da. Oh, so now I have to go look and see, is that a website? You know, another, and then I'm off to, is there a book I could buy about this? You know, so I just love learning. Unfortunately, I wish I had more focus. When
Yeah.
I'm trying to-
I could
Yes.
see that. Yeah. You're a wealth of knowledge. You are able to impart all that you learn on other people. So everybody else benefits from that too.
Yeah, I think I just know enough about stuff to be dangerous, though.
What do you
I don't
Yes.
know.
mean?
Like,
Yeah, I know what
I'm
you
not a
mean.
master of anything.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Master
it.
of none.
Yeah.
Where do you find joy?
I find joy in the little things. Like, I know that sounds so cliche, but I'm not kidding you. Like, I
True
don't know. Like,
though.
Yeah.
it's so much of the little things, like silliness. That will bring me joy. I was laying on the bed with my granddaughter at bedtime. She's in her little pajamas and she's, has her little pacifier and she keeps playing. She likes to hand it to you so you can pretend like you're sucking on it for a minute or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she did, and she had her foot up in the air. And so I stuck it in between her toes and made it so she was holding it with her toes. And she thought that was so funny that for the next several nights, every night we had to play the pacifier in your toe game. And she would
Aw.
laugh and then she would try to do it herself and stuff. And I don't know, just
That's
little
hilarious.
tiny things like that is like, that
Yes.
is what it is all about right
Exactly.
there.
Yes. Yes.
This tiny
Yeah.
little moments
Mm-hmm.
to bring you joy.
You're so right. Time goes by so fast. You got to soak up everything you can. I know you contribute a lot already, but is there anything you think you'd like to contribute to the community still?
I think that right now I want to learn how to balance out the giving portion of me to doing some work on me and for me
Sure.
on my own, platforms and my own things and stuff. So really what I'm trying to do is learn to balance that better because I love giving and I love doing things for people and stuff, but I do have a hard time sometimes finding the balance in that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's super important. You can't pour from an empty cup.
That kind of example it's healthy because it shows us how to maintain those healthy dynamics with one another. So yeah, I 100% support that, Crystal.
Yeah.
What do you hope to receive from this community?
I have already received so much that I don't need any more. I mean, I hope that I will make more friends and more connections and help more people deconstruct and help more people find themselves and be free of the absolute chains that come with indoctrination and religion. We were talking about all the freedoms you gain when you let go of the church, the freedom to not forgive somebody, the freedom to know that it's okay to lie. Sometimes it's the best thing to do. Sometimes the freedom to appreciate nature and science and not
Yeah.
be told you're like a
Mm.
weirdo for that,
Yeah.
there's so
Yeah.
much freedoms with it. And I just want to I hope I get to help people feel that.
I love
You
it.
do.
Well, I
Oh,
hope that all went well. And thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. And I love you
yes.
both.
You're amazing. Love you,
Thank you,
Crystal.
Crystal. Well, that is our show. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. It is always a pleasure to hear from Crystal. Tahir, thank you so much for putting all of this together.
Of
What
course.
an awesome conversation.
Couldn't agree more. If you are still listening, make sure you share your thoughts on today's episode with us below. Are you interested in sharing your story with us? Send us an email at shattered.foundations1@gmail.com. That's shattered.foundations1@gmail.com.
See you next week for another episode of Shattered Foundations Reconstructed Self.
Bye.
Bye.